Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Atari computer review series, I guess I'm going to call it. This is the Atari 800, and released in 1979, as well with the Atari 400, which if you've not seen that video, you should watch it so you can see the differences in the machines. This is the big, expensive gaming computer of the time, I guess I would call it. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to show it off and show the features of it and just kind of show what the advantages are, the disadvantages are of this machine if you're trying to get into the Atari 8-bit computer realm. So here it is. It's a lot bigger than the 400. This is a really well-built machine, very heavy. It is plastic, obviously, but it is still a really well-built machine. Unlike the 400, it has an actual keyboard. Some of them aren't mechanical. This one is. It's just going to depend on the keyboard revision that you have. So yeah, this one is like a really nice feeling keyboard, and the layout's a little weird, but you can get used to it, especially the backspace key always messes me up. You can see here's the gameplay buttons. You got your system reset, which is kind of nice that has its own little dedicated area over here. You got option, select, and start, and these will be mainly used for your games. You got your power LED in the front of the machine. You got your 4 controller ports, just like the 400, and this was the last machine to have 4 controller ports, and not many games used it, except for Mule and Asteroids are the only 2 that I can think of. There's our badge and our nice Atari logo there. Push down on this lever, door comes up. This machine's missing an RF shielding that would have been up here that often falls off nowadays, and it's not needed anymore. I forgot to mention that just like the Atari 400, when you open this door up, the computer will shut off, and you'll have to have the door closed for the computer to turn on, which is really nice when changing out cartridges. The weird thing is, this is the only Atari 8-bit computer to have 2 cartridge slots. You can see left cartridge and right cartridge, and if you look at any of the games, they're all going to have the left cartridge basically on the end label. The right cartridge was more... I've never had a cartridge that goes in the right slot. It's mainly, from what I understand, like things that could add to like basic and stuff like that. So it's basically adding on to the existing cartridge that you would have in here. So pretty neat, but it was never really used much. You can see the 2 cartridge slots there, and they both have their little Atari tabs that would release the dust protector on the cartridge. This machine has expandable memory. So from the factory early on, this would have came with 16K of RAM, but later on they came stock with 48K, which is that maximum without modification that this machine supports. And the inside of here, I'm not going to show it because I don't feel like unscrewing it on this machine. You undo these 2 screws. Some models will have plastic levers you can just move over, which is nice. This version has screws, which I believe this was a later thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. A little cost reduction there. So you loosen the screws. This whole top piece with the ventilation comes off. There's going to be a CPU board, which is going to be your first one. Or actually, it's not the CPU. It's actually the operating system. My mistake. It's your OS board. And then you'll have, and this machine has the whole 48K. So you'll have 3 16K RAM chips, which were awesome. RAM boards, really. It's more what they would be considered, I guess, because they were easily upgradable, which is nice. This computer does have a CPU board, so I was not wrong with saying that. It's just not accessible by the user unless you take the entire computer apart. And that board is actually behind all those other boards. So there's like 5 boards in a row technically lined up on this. And when you remove this cover, there's a little hole, just like the Atari 400. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it, but anyway, there's a little hole you can peek a screwdriver through and adjust your color tint, basically. So if your color's a little off, take the top cover off right here, this little cover, and get your screwdriver in there and adjust it. You should use a plastic screwdriver, but if you're careful, just use a metal one, it's fine. So that's another little handy secret a lot of people don't know about. Here's our side port. So very similar to the 400, except now we have a monitor port, which is awesome because this computer supports Chroma Luma output, which is, I believe, one of the only ones that does, other than, I think, the 130 XE. So that's awesome, and it also outputs composite video as well if you're just trying to use a standard monitor. So that's really, really, really cool, because they drop support for that in the 800XL, the Chroma Luma output at least. Here's our SIO port. Like I said, it's basically early USB, and it's used for printers, disk drives, which this machine you will be definitely wanting to utilize disk drives, and floppy drives and modems and everything you could think to plug into this port. It's the universal serial bus USB, almost. Here's our channel select switch. So it is 2 and 3. So you can switch between, and that's for your RF output, obviously. Got our nice rocker switch for the power, and our DC power plug port there. Like I just showed in the back, nothing besides our built-in RF cable. You can see this one actually has an RF adapter on it. I'll remove that. And this is the standard kind of Atari thing. You buy an RF adapter, which back in the day it would have been the VHF forks at the end. This is a more modern adapter that will let you just screw it on to your TV. But again, you really only want to use this if you have a CRT TV, which you should if you're using this. This side of the machine, there's absolutely nothing to be shown. And here's the bottom, and you can see our serial number and model number sticker. It's upside down, but that's okay. And yeah, this machine is awesome. I really, really, really like this machine. It does feel really high-end, which it was back in the day. This was, in today's money, literally thousands and thousands of dollars. It's a really great machine. The Chroma Luma output is another really good add. So if you have like a Commodore monitor, that's really good, or you could adapt that into S-Video if you don't have a Commodore monitor or just an old school computer monitor. There's definitely many other than Commodore that had the Chroma Luma on them. Keyboard's great. Like I said before, I would say depending on the keyboard revision, at least this like one that I have in front of me right now, like this is probably, I would say, the best in the 8-bit lineup. I mean, this keyboard, if you're doing a lot of typing, the 800 actually might be the machine for you. This has 48K of RAM, which means it will be compatible with most disk software. Most. A lot later on did require 64K, and even some after that required that you had the 130XE with its extra RAM even on top of that. So this will play, I would say, the vast majority of games. And obviously you have your cartridge games, but those will be simpler titles because they just are. There's not as much storage space on the cartridge compared to the disc. So yeah, and I also have the power supply here, so I may as well show it. It looks like this. Our model numbers on the back here, C017945 is the model. And these are very reliable, very good power supplies. They're not problematic like the 800XL ones, and they're awesome. I like them. They hardly ever go bad. And it's just the barrel at the end and the normal plug at the other end, which is also nice. You don't have the giant brick plugged directly into your wall socket. So what do I think of this machine? I would say, I was ranking it out of 10, I would say I would honestly give this probably a 10 out of, well, I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because it doesn't have 64K or even 128K like the 130XE. So I'm saying that this is probably a 9 out of 10. I mean, it has the awesome keyboard. If it had more RAM, this would be the perfect machine, I think. It is pretty large, but I think that kind of adds to its character. It kind of almost gives off Apple II vibes, I would say. But yeah, it's a really good machine. I'm not going to show this one booting up, but a super important thing to note with this is it does not have built-in BASIC. That will come later on with the 800XL and the 600XL, but you just slap a BASIC cartridge in here and you can run your disc games and do your programming and everything else that you'd want to do with BASIC. So yeah, this machine's awesome. If it had more RAM and if it had BASIC built in, that would also have been really nice too. Then this would be a perfect machine, but unfortunately it's not. And we're going to see as we go on through the series, there's no perfect machine, technically, because there's always some disadvantage to every one. So yeah, but the build quality of this machine and just the aesthetic of it cannot be ignored. Like I really do like this one a lot. To me, it's definitely a lot cooler machine than the 800 XL, but having the extra RAM on that machine is definitely a big benefit, don't get me wrong. So when you turn this computer on, you'll boot up to the memo pad, is what it's called. Check out again, if you didn't watch the Atari 400 video, look at that one to see what that looks like. It's basically just a screen and you can type in text, and that's literally it. You can't save it, you can't do anything with it as far as I know. So it's kind of useless. It just kind of shows your computer is working as it should. But I really love that idea of having the cards back here. So if something fails on this machine, let's say it's booting to, I don't know, a black screen or something, and I've had some like that, and it was a RAM chip, so I didn't even have to open the machine. I had to just take this top cover off and look at the chips and replace the entire board. Like, it's really simple and really user accessible, and I wish more computers back then were more gung-ho about users upgrading them. This machine really did want to be upgraded and tinkered with, so you got to respect it for that. And yeah, that's basically the video. I love it. Definitely better than the 400. But if you're buying them today, there's a big cost difference. This is like double the price of a 400, at least from what I would sell them for. So it's something to consider. Do you need the extra? If you're just interested in playing cartridge-based games, not programming, you're not playing discs, I would say the 400 is actually probably better because it's a better value. But let's be honest, you're probably going to want to dabble into the disc games and maybe do some programming and maybe type in some basic programs from a book or something. It's just fun to have that ability and to be able to type a lot easier. So I recommend this machine. It is pretty expensive today. Like, the value technically is probably a little more than the usefulness of it. Like, you'd probably be better off just buying an 800 XL, but man, this machine's cool. And that machine's just not as cool to me, at least. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Easy 9 out of 10 on this one. I love it. There's very few things that suck about it, and the things that do suck about it are not that big of a deal, depending on what you're using it for. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.